Hi, and welcome back to another episode of The Breakdown with Bethany. I'm Bethany Brown Silva, and today my guests are Julie Bowen and Jill Biren, and we're going to be talking about their new line of personal care products for boys, really for everyone, but it was inspired by them raising boys, being boy moms, and the line is called JB Skrub. So we're going to dive into their journey as entrepreneurs, raising stinky boys and all that comes with it. So check it out. Okay, so we'll jump in because I know we're all busy moms. Julie, I was telling Jill that I'm also a mom to two boys. So when I saw this come through my inbox, I was like, yes, please, I have to talk to them. I have to talk to them not only to talk about these products, but I have a few questions, like help me. But
Okay.
Okay, so I was looking at the JB Skrub Instagram. So I want you to first tell me all about this line, but I was so sort of moved. This might sound a little emotional, but that the inception for this product was you guys were solving, your teenagers or your tweens problems, which are really subsequently become mom's problems. And I think I'm sort of paraphrasing that, but I heard Julie, you say that on IG and I was like, yes, that's everything. So tell us about this product line, the inception, the inspiration, all of it.
Well, first of all, it was really Jill and I standing next to each other at a birthday party talking about, they're really starting to smell and it's gross. And Jill's kids especially were super into ice hockey at the time, and that equipment is real nasty. And I had just come off of a summer where I'd hired a Manny because I thought it'd be fun for my kids. And this kid was so nice, but he used the body spray that shall not be named that smells like death in a can. And there's like sandalwood death in a can or sage death in a can, but it's death in a can. And I said, Jill, this is all that there is out there. And I just was shrugged. And Jill goes, well, let's do something about it, in her very quiet, very efficient way. And that was the inception. And I said, I don't know how to do that, but Jill has a background much more closely aligned with this and had been at Condé Nast for years and knew something about the beauty business. So I followed her lead.
Yeah. And I had been, I think I was just coming off of like summer camp, and this was where, I had to pack up for my son, and he was like, I'm not taking my baby wash to summer camp. I'm like, you're right. We get to do something about this. And then I looked at all the big stores online everywhere, and there were plenty of options for like young girls, but nothing for young boys. And they weren't a man. Like at this point, like he's not a man, right? It's like at the age of 12, they're not men. And they don't need to smell like exactly what Julie was talking about. I had a number of friends in the industry, former clients, formulators, and we tapped into the network and called on the best of the best. And here we are 3 years later, and we're super proud of JB Skrub.
Just 3 years later, just a quick 3 years. It turns out if you're bootstrapping, which we are, because we are not affiliated, we're not secretly like owned by Procter and Gamble, or don't secretly have some massive fund to draw on. So we've been bootstrapping, and thank God for Jill. And we have advisors and that we've hired on a temporary basis who have walked us through packaging, filling, formulating, labs, all the stuff you've got to go through, and it is a real eye-opener.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can only imagine. 3 years to me actually doesn't, I know it probably sounds like a lifetime to you guys from inception to shelves, but it doesn't seem that long to me, just knowing how much goes into this process. So speaking of that, tell me about the first set of products. Why did you choose those? Tell me about the scent, the formulations. And of course, as a mom of boys myself, my son's about to turn 11. Are they, we always are thinking about the ingredients and what our kids are using. So I'm sure they're safe, but tell us why they're safe.
I'll let Jill take this one. She's the expert on the ingredients.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, what the first product that we created, and by the way, our sons were down this road with us from start until the very end, was the body wash. Like we knew like that was the one thing that they needed, that they were currently using. and that we needed to transfer them from using a baby formula that was safe into their next chapter, which would be a body wash that was created for them and continued to be safe and gentle. Gentle being like the key word here. So we went to a lab. We gave them a number of products, ingredients that we said, but first of all, we admire Credo and their high standards. So we ensured that everything that we created would meet the highest standards that exist. In terms of fragrance, we didn't want any synthetic fragrance whatsoever. We knew that like it smelling good was still really important to this age, but they did not want to smell like bubblegum. They did not want to smell like grapes. So we came up with something that was fresh, that was light, that would actually not linger, because if you notice that once you do use the body wash, it smells great, but then 5 hours later, you're not smelling because it's a very natural botanical. And then we moved on from there. We were thinking, okay, so anyone, like the younger ones, could use that body wash. And then what's next? Okay, so they start getting the whiteheads, the blackheads. We need to create a face wash, their very first face wash, something that's gentle. Once again, that there's no fragrance. And so we created the foaming face wash. And we also thought about like, this has to be really simple for them, meaning like there's no time for them to even put product in their hand and lather it up. So we wanted to make sure that it foams right away, right? And even with like our face lotion that we created after that, again, they're starting to get greasier. So there needs to be sebum control in there. It has to be light. And also like we created a tube with a pump, because if you think about how like the toothpaste is in their bathroom, that cap never makes its way back onto the toothpaste. So we needed something that the cap would be a pump for them. At the same time, we didn't want it to be a tub where, think about, we're putting their fingers in a tub of face moisturizer. Like that's just not going to happen. And then we came up with the face pads. Once again, like less steps involved. So the toner is already in the pad. And then lastly is the stink, the body spray. And we needed to create something that would defunk them naturally. And that's our 5 products.
That's incredible. I love that everything's very intentional and sort of create out of your own experience. And I know that you mentioned that your boys were sort of part of this process. What has been their feedback so far? They must be loving it, I'm assuming.
Well, I think at first they were just like, that's really cool. We would put lots of fonts in front of them, different packaging. We asked them what they liked. One of my sons said absolutely no stickers. And I was like, stickers, like what's, that's the least expensive way, is you just get a pre-made bottle and slap a sticker on it. So no, the whole bottle has to be a color. But we wanted to be conscious of the environment, and we wanted to use as much PCR material as we possibly could. So getting that in those rich, vibrant colors was very challenging. But it has done the job. They're very impressed, and they're like, wow, you made it. But they smelled things, they tried things, they put everything on their faces. We had some fails along the way, and we just had to pivot and move off of it and find something that worked better. I've been offered the opportunity to slap my name on products before, or partner with already existing, skincare lines for girls or boys. And I didn't want to do that. And if I'm going to put my name on something, I have to really believe in it.
Yeah. And, so just to pivot a little bit, Julie, I think a lot of us moms out there, whether you're playing a fictional mom on TV or in your real life, you are just so relatable. You're kind of like, you really do kind of speak for us in a way. And I think I feel really good about saying that. And one of the things that really made me just laugh was this tagline, or this sort of like slogan you created, which I actually saw you talk about on Drew Barrymore. And then of course, IG. So please tell us about this, because this sounds honestly like something I would scream to my kids in the shower. So can you tell us?
One of the reasons why we created the line was that there comes this age. I mean, you said you're how old is your son?
He's about to be 11, and yes, he stinks. So
Right. And there's a time when all of a sudden you're not allowed in the bathroom. The bathroom door closes and you're not allowed in anymore. And you don't know what day it's going to be. Just like you sort of don't know when your last hug is going to be. And all of a sudden it happens and they start coming out dirtier, sort of slimy, and you wonder what's going on in there. So I would sort of knock on the door and go, use the soap, pits, nuts, butts, in that order. And that was one of the names that I had pitched for the product, but we realized that was a little bit limiting, especially since we want, women, young women can use this line too. It's not just for those with nuts. But that was just this kind of rallying cry, and it caught on. We put it on the back of the body wash, and that's exactly the kind of tone that we wanted to strike, was meet these kids where they are. Don't have a paragraph about, gently exfoliating or moving your hand in a counterclockwise circle. We wanted to be like, pump it in hand, wash pits, nuts, butts, and feet, rinse off. Like, simple and relatable. And I think the moms are the ones that are really like, yeah, that's relatable.
Yeah, I think like when I talk to my own boys, I hate to say, I mean, they're so smart, right? Like they're the best, but like you do kind of have to like get down and dirty when you're, and then they laugh and then they're like, then you're cool. So I love that. I can't wait to, introduce my own son to this concept of pits, nuts, butts. I think it's easy to remember and hopefully it'll work, right? But okay, so we're all boy moms here. And I know of course, there's there's the joys of parenthood are just like, they're never ending, no matter if you're raising boys, girls, so I'm wondering, what is something really special that you guys can speak to about raising boys in particular? Because I do think it's so special. But I'm also speaking from my own, completely subjective point of view.
You want to take that, Jill?
Well, I mean, let's like break it down. Like we're creating like the future husbands, right? The future boyfriends. So we better do it right. Like we know like how we want to be treated. And so like we're training these little guys to be better men for our future. So it's important. And that's why like us teaching them about their skincare, like who else is going to do it? It's us. But look, I love boys. I was like the girliest of girl. I love my pink, purple, and glitter any day of the week. I'm also happy like my boys are not stealing all my makeup and all my clothes too. So like that's a huge benefit. But I adore it, and like there's so many lessons that we can teach them, and thrilled that we're boy moms.
I love having boys. I was freaked out at first because I came from 3 girls. I didn't have a brother. I went to all girls schools. I was deeply unfamiliar with boys until I was dating them, late teens. And I was a real late bloomer. So I was shocked by boys, every step of it, from changing diapers to getting peed on. I was like, what? To, just the way that they relate, the way that they're so, what you see is what you get. Of course, that's not true of every single kid. Of course, there's some that like levels that are going on, but I've often get in the car with my kids in the morning, especially, and I'm like, are you okay? What's going on? And they're fine. They're just grunting. They're just at the grunt stage. It's like, oh, good. And I'm like, you can't be, you must be profoundly depressed. Don't you want to talk about it? They're like, no, I'm good. And they are. They're boys. Every boy is different. My 3 are certainly different, and Jill's 2 are different. But for the most part, boys are not as complex at this age as girls, socially and emotionally. I'll ask them, so who are your best friends? And they're like, that kid. And they've been hanging out for weeks. They don't know, his name's like Kyle or Keith, I don't know. It's just really basic. You got something I like, you play soccer, I play soccer, we're friends. There's not a whole lot of social emotional complexity in those early years.
I love that. And is this the first time, I think it's the first time you guys have partnered on, on a business endeavor. But I'm wondering, what challenges, because I know a lot of moms who are entrepreneurs are interested in that journey, watch and listen to this podcast. So what advice do you have for them? I mean, obviously a lot of times when we have an idea for a business is born out of something that's happening in our own life, but it is really hard to kind of connect those dots from, inspiration to like getting it out there. So what advice do you have for moms who have a business idea and, how can they sort of bring that forward?
Yeah, I'll take this one because this part of the journey was us connecting with our network. So us finding the formulator was a former client of mine who also has a teen son who had formulated for major corporations, and me picking her brain along the way. Us, as well as even speaking with former executives that were now consulting, and just asking for that advice. And I think like what I was always told, like the answer is always no unless you ask. So just taking those baby steps and network.
Yeah, it's definitely, we do a lot of asking people. I mean, anybody knows, even if you live in a small town and you think you don't have any connections, somebody that started something, or somebody that runs a store, or, there's no such thing as a place where there's no business. And finding anybody who has started or runs a business and just ask them questions, as many as you can, and follow up and, cultivate those relationships.
Yeah. And how does it feel so far? I mean, it must be I'm assuming that it must be really fulfilling. I mean, it's kind of, almost like, we use this word a lot, but like a pivot. So, I mean, can you speak on just like the emotional aspect of, of sort of having this business and watching it, succeed and grow?
I'm used to going to a set in the morning and being told like my day is sketched out, like they give me a call sheet and I'm like, and this is it. And then when I complete that work, it's done. And then that day is literally it is in the past. And that's not true with business. Every day builds on the last. It's definitely exciting, but it's also, it's scary. I'm not going to lie. This is freaking scary. I like being given a script and told exactly what to do. So this is new for me. And I'd love to hear how Jill feels.
Yeah, I mean, we're both in very vulnerable places, right? Like we put ourselves out there, and it's extremely rewarding as well. Like when we receive feedback from our customers, and especially one recent, a mom wrote in to say, like, thank you so much. My son suffers from autism, and this is the first time that he's really excited about taking a shower. He loves hits, nuts, and butts, and thank you. Like something like that, like takes the everyday scariness of like, and it makes it so much better and rewarding.
Thank you so much for saying that. I think, people, there's so much glamorization of everything, but especially, running a business. And we hear about how it's hard, but we don't often hear this sort of scary, vulnerable part. So thank you so much. And thank you for sharing your story. It's been so great just connecting with both of you on like all of these topics. But please tell everybody where they can find JB Skrub and maybe what's next. Any other products coming down the line?
Yeah, well, you can get it at JB Skrub with a K.com. And coming next, we're working on a shampoo and a SPF moisturizer, a sunscreen moisturizer. Anything else, Jill?
There's many things in the hopper, but those are two that I think that will be seen.
Oh, and our pimple
soon.
patches.
Yes.
Love that. And tell us where we can follow you on Instagram.
Oh, I'm at therealjuliebowen.com. We also have JB Skrub on Instagram and TikTok. TikTok is very important to these people, so we had to meet them where they are. That's been the steepest learning curve of all for me.
I can't believe I'm like, good for you on that TikTok, because I'm not. I can't.
It is not easy, and we've had to do it's trial and error. We throw a lot of stuff at the wall, and it's unbelievable what sticks. We're like, oh, you like that? Okay. So it's a learning process, definitely, when it comes to social media, but that's how you reach them.
Yep, absolutely. Well, thank you both so much. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the time. So, and your gorgeous backgrounds. Thank you for getting me out of New York City for a little bit.
Thank you,
Thank
Bethany.
you.
All right, take
Thank you.
care. Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye.
Bye.